Okay, everybody, welcome back to day 4 of Game Over Cancer. I am here with Norimaki SR and Tyke619 on commentary, and I will pass it over to you to tell us about the game you're going to be running for us today.
Yes, hello there. Again, I'm Norimaki SR, or just Nori for short, and I'm here to run Shantae and the Seven Sirens, which is the 5th game of the Shantae series. It's gone back to a lot of the things that we kind of like about the series, but it also does some things a little bit differently, and we'll try to get through those. Here helping me out with some commentary is a guy who's much better at this game than I am. That's Mr. TKY619. Turkey, say hi, please.
Hello there.
Hello.
Yep. Hello. Yep. I'm here with Nori. I'm going to offer some additional commentary. Anything he wants me to bring in, or I'll just throw some flavor text in there. You know, all the works when it comes to us, the Shantae runners. So, best of luck to you, Nori. And you kick it off whenever you are ready. So.
Oh, thanks so much. Actually, just going to run this down really quick. So this run has a lot of different modes. It didn't start out this way. It kind of got a little bit of a faulted start in how it got going, because it was released as a chapter 1 only on Apple Arcade, and over time they patched it, but we'll talk about some of the problems that it had in the initial and some of the fun that disappeared throughout it. But now it's got all of this DLC, all these different modes and stuff like that you can play. We're going to be doing beginner mode, which is basically you can't lose, go as fast as you can, and all the damage, you know, just whatever, just forget it exists. There are all these other modes which are fun for sure, but very challenging in their own ways. And Shantae she needs a nice vacation. That's what this is about, right? Being on vacation. So I think we're good here. As soon as I select this costume, that's when time will go. So if you guys are ready on timer for the marathon, I'll give you a countdown. Yes, and so all right. So we'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
We are ready, yes.
Okay. All right, so Shantae and crew are basically on a vacation. They've been invited to this island to have a festival with other half genies. So Shantae has been the only half genie that she knew about until today, and now she's excited to meet some new people and have fun with everyone and such like that. So we're gonna quickly have to do what Way Forward wants us to do. Have to talk to somebody first. And then, of course, as a staple, other than GBC, you have to save the game before you can do anything else. It will not let you go anywhere or do anything until you do this. Nothing new there. All right, so now that we've done that, we've got to make some friends. I guess really quick, just to talk about it, like I said, the checkered kind of start that this game got. So, you know, first of all, it was a first-part chapter on Apple Arcade. The second big problem that everyone ran into, whether it was console or PC, was extremely long loading times. And you'll notice right at the start of the freaking run, we had 2 immediate loading screens. It's like you go 2 screens, another loading screen. You imagine that took like the first minute of your run to go through those 2 screens just because of, you know, reasons. They finally did at least patch that, but you know, I think damage has been done in regards to this game's reputation. A lot of people kind of shelved it and forgot about it since then. So yeah, I kind of got off to a rough start. I mean, it's a lot better these days for sure on that front, you know, but with patching comes, you know, great change. And Out of Bounds, unfortunately, which is still kind of a work in progress, has evolved because of it. Not sure what else to add there right now. What I'm really trying to do is only focus on maybe killing a crab here. What this game does introduce is something called a card system, where Shantae can equip certain cards as long as she's got the necessary quota to do so, and they give her different abilities or enhancements to her things. So I'm not going to be spending a lot of time looking for those in this run. There's only a few beneficial ones, but there's like a certain one I really want to see, and it's not till later, but a crab card would be nice. Anything else you want to add, Turkey? I've been talking this whole time already.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, the card system is a thing in this game. It's much more involved, a little more involved in some of the other categories. But as beginner is concerned, as Noy mentioned, there's only really one main card that we're looking for to play during the run. That's mainly because the advantages of beginner mode. It is the easy mode, the walk in the park mode, where it's impossible to quote unquote die, as you have an unlimited stock of auto potions. It also ramps Shantae's damage up from a baseline of 5 all the way up to 100. So pretty much anything can get absolutely mincemeat by that. which is quite a blessing because they decided to, include in this game, just bullet sponges, shall we call it, for bosses who just take forever to die normally. So it's quite small, so it gives the runner the opportunity to focus more on just going all out, guns a-blazing, which is hopefully what we're going to get to show you for today. So as the story goes on here, the festival happens, they all do a dance stage, and there's the point where things happen, and well, all the other half genies are gone.
Yep,
so
cannot
of course,
skip this
Shantae's journey request.
Yeah, we can't skip this dialogue, so it's giving you the nice rundown right now. Festival's over, and then we just go for the next morning. My favorite thing to do here, tell Sky to shut up. Shut up, Sky. All right, so obviously now we got to figure out what's going on. For some reason, Shantae was not kidnapped. She was, kind of left behind by the other half genies that we met along the way here. And so that means we get to go try to save the day. And watch out for some muck men here. These guys are pure RNG as to where they appear. Not too jerky. We'll do that.
Luckily, your early game, not much RNG will be a major influence of the run. A good amount of where RNG will become an influence is usually within the boss fights and the certain structures of how they work, which we'll go into a bit more as and when that approaches. But for now, just making our way through to just explore the island and try and figure out what is going on. And turns out Risky Boots is here as well with her Tinkerbat. So
much for vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, how long have we started on this run? This vacation's already ruined by Risky Boots.
Less than 4.5 minutes so far.
Well, it's always a thing. So Risky Boots is one of the main villains of the entire series. As to why she's here at the moment, well, that's a mystery.
Card.
Unfortunately, unlucky with the crab card. So the crab card is an ability that allows you to crawl faster. It's luckily it's not as much of a major in the course of the run. It only really saves like a second or so in one or two early points of the game. So it's not too problematic if we don't get it, but it would have been nice just to have that little added extra.
For sure. So animated cutscenes are a thing, and actually we'll kind of talk about timing of this game. So it's actually the first Shantae series game that we've actually been like, okay, we'll use in-game timer because it actually is pretty good. It does have some flaws to it, like it pauses when you're in any menu. So if I do the select menu or I do the start menu, then it's not advancing during that point. Also doesn't advance during shop menus. It's quite an interesting thing. And then when you get your first card, whenever that actually happens, because I still haven't yet, it will pause during that dialogue, but only that one, because it actually stops the gameplay for that moment in time. So obviously we have to have some rules around, like how long you can spend in the menu, those kind of things, just to avoid, and obviously a game over at that point kind of negates it, because you have to reload your save, so you'd be manipulating your in-game time if you were to die and restart it. So we basically just say you can finish your run, you just can't claim the in-game time when that occurs. So yeah, it's like the cutscenes also, which were animated in-house by WayForward, also do not advance time too. So if you want to do a cutscene percent, at least, for the purposes of speedrun leaderboards, feel free to do that if you want. Sometimes it's good to revisit those. But here we are in our first labyrinth, Water Lily's Den. God, I am so terrible. What am I doing?
Nice bounce.
Oh my gosh, I just jumped off of that for some reason.
Yeah, so that will jumpstart something I was going to mention a little bit later. So a couple of other differences within beginner mode versus standard mode, that certain death planes in the game were no longer in effect. So things like that way just fell into, usually if you fall in, you just explode and go back to the beginning of the screen. So for this one, you just bounce up instead.
Yeah, we use that to our advantage in a couple of places because it's now faster, obviously, to do that. But this is the only mode you can get away with that. You wouldn't be able to do that in any of the other ones, like Vicky mentioned. But you'll see me damage boost through a lot of things. I'm not too concerned about health because, again, I can't die. If I run out of HP, I'll just use an auto potion, but it is slower because it animates her refilling, and you got to wait until the hearts are refilled before you can move again. So it's better to maybe go into the menu and actually just drop a quick auto potion on yourself, just to avoid kind of that delay in time where it has little to no impact on your in-game time versus how long it would take to just sit there and wait for your health to refill.
Would I have a second for a quick donation message?
Yeah, feel free.
Okay, so we have a $100.69 donation from either Moni or Moni. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Moni.
No more continues for you, Cancer. Your time's up. You've taken enough. Nori, thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you, Moni. Much appreciated. She's one of my mods, long-time community member, and just all-around excellent person. Thank you, Risky, for doing the good thing that you were supposed to do.
It looks like RNG's already starting off relatively nice.
Yeah, Risky walking to you is exactly what you want to see there when you can take her down in 2 hits in this mode. So she can be rude and jump away or run away, and this time she actually wanted to try casual jog and it didn't work in her favor. All right, so we get our first new movement option. One thing that occurs with this game that is a good harken back to Pirate's Curse is that the transformations are basically kind of like the pirate gear in this game. They are on a single button to be able to do, and all have their kind of similar things. So, you know, as it relates to like what Pirate's Curse had to offer, I don't know that this one necessarily has any equation. There was no monkey form or anything, but this basically follows Shantae's standard monkey form, but it's a nuke dash, which, you know, has a nice little dash and now becomes kind of our best movement option at the early part of the game. Can cling the walls, can climb, you know, those kind of things, and we'll be dashing pretty much everywhere that we are able to. Jerks, thank you. You could have been worse. Could have been better too. So even though we skipped and ignored a lot of this dungeon, you know, this is like the fastest way through. We're gonna meet our first boss of the game. We're gonna meet up with what we call the actual Sirens of the island, starting with Water Lily.
Indeed, so on with the Water Lily fight. You may notice there's 2 buttons on the side of the screen currently. So where the light shows is you want to be on the opposite side of where the light is.
Yes, I don't know what I was thinking.
Whoops. So yeah, the idea is to be on the opposite side of where the light is to be able to maneuver the siren across into the light. Once she's exposed to that light, she will spread her plant out, and then there'll be some platforms that will fall from the sky. So ideally, we want the good RNG for the platforms to be floating much closer to her. So we just get on, 1, 2, and she's down.
Yeah.
An
That was
advantage of
poorly
being
played on my part, but I'm a little distracted too mentally, so that was a mistake. But it's okay. I mean, it doesn't take long to recover from it. Other than that platform is so slow to manipulate.
Indeed. Right, we're up and up, so into the second chapter.
All right, so we freed our first half genie hero. That was Plink. She's not Plink. Yeah, it is Plink. Sorry. So hers is a little bit different. Basically, what she's telling us is that, you know, these coins that they give me is what gives me access to these particular transformations. So when you rescue them, they kind of get a theme going here. You're gonna rescue them. They're gonna give you a coin, and then once you've got that coin, then you are able to do whatever mode of like transformations they give you. There's a secondary piece though, and that's what Plink is saying is, you know, I want to help you on this adventure. There's something that we need to find though, and it's called a fusion stone. I've never heard of fusion stone before, but we're gonna go and try to find one wherever possible. In the meantime, we're gonna do a little bit of backtracking here. So I know we're early. I know you only had the 1 donation so far, unless you've got any more, or if you got other things you'd like to plug for GOC. I think this backtrack's a good time to squeeze that in.
Okay. So before we can get this fusion stone, there's 2 parts, 2 points of interest that we need. Both of them just happen to be pretty much on the opposite side of the map from one another. So we've got 2 little barnacles to find. It turns out there's someone in and around the world that's looking for these barnacles and just happen to have a nice shiny stone of some kind. So we're on this quest to just basically go and fulfill what she's after, so we can hopefully find out what this shiny thing is that I mentioned, the fusion stone that we just mentioned. But fortunately, there are a couple of quick warps within this game. So there's several points around the entire map where you can fast warp. As long as you've entered that room before, you're able to fast warp into the certain areas of the map. So at this point, it's just warping from the right side back to the center at the top, back into Arena Town. Then we can progress our way over to the left side, go find ourselves a smooth barnacle, and maybe an old friend. Shall we put it?
Friend. I mean, it's an awful big word you're using there.
Of course, I mean, they're friends till the end.
Ugh.
Instant regret.
Oh dear. My least favorite DLC of all time, so bad that I haven't even bothered buying it. Nice.
I'll show myself out.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. It's fine. I mean, you're not too terribly wrong, I guess. Just I spend most of this time spending as little time talking to said friend if I can. There's only one, and speaking of, we'll just ignore that he's even here. I just want his garbage, and we're out. That's it. Done.
So that was what's his face.
What's his face? Yeah. It's hero time.
Poor fellow. He's treated in the entire series as effectively the village idiot. But he's you know, he means well.
Means well. Has a really bad way of doing it.
So that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
True. All right, so I need to remember to buy Pike Ball while I'm in here instead of like ignoring it like I tend to do. That'd be nice. I'm sure we don't have enough for Super Pike. I know we aren't.
You need 130.
Oh god, you know what? I actually do have enough.
Yeah, you do.
Wow, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna get that out of the way then.
What?
Sure.
Why not?
That'll make at
All
least
right, so
looking for the next card that I want really easy.
Indeed. So we get our first fusion stone in, and we go straight to Blink. So what this is actually going to do is it's actually going to enable to fuse the genie powers together into one with Shantae. So she's going to be able to have access to certain different abilities, depends on which genie you fuse them with. In this case, it's the Seer Dance. So the Seer Dance will enable you to reveal invisible things, whether they be platforms or enemies alike.
Yeah. Blink's magic basically is just based on vision, like exposing hidden things, hidden passages and things like that by using her magic in that area. And I mean, right now all I'm gonna have is a bunch of voices in my head telling me what to do. I'm gonna try to ignore. That's the bobblehead at the top of the screen going back and forth, but
yeah, by default in beginner mode, it activates hint mode, so whenever there's an ability that can be used at any screens, the respective power will pop up at the top of the screen, becoming Navi the Fly, going, hey, listen, then it's a little annoying. Here we go, first activation of Seer. So now we have these platforms to actually get across over to the left side. We enter, we'll be approaching Freetown. And which one of us is going to talk about this?
oh god, I guess I'll take the damage on this one. It's kind of like Run Run Roddy Tops, but at least better. So we kind of have our mandatory mini game of this particular game, which is the stance mini game, which it was fun the first time. When you're on a speed run though, you hate this, and it's because it can go one of two ways. It can go pretty decently, or it can go absolutely terrible. We're gonna hope that this doesn't go absolutely terrible, so I'm gonna play this a little bit more cautious and probably spend way more time. But you can see the varying speed of Shantae gets to be a little bit of a problem with this, because you don't know what she's going to do until she does it, and if you're just sitting there mashing, you're likely going to miss these masks, and the more you miss, you lose out on additional gems that you could get, and two, it just adds more time. So you're trying not to miss these. I'll go ahead and get a clear like 100% bonus just for the extra money. And yeah, we're going to get an animation of getting a heart squid. Don't worry, I'll give it a good home, and I don't mean Squid Smith.
Melt.
No, Turkey, you don't melt down the hearts. God bless it, man. We'll teach you one day. We don't melt them down. One, it's slow, and two, they're just too cute. But now that we got through there, it's like the quicker one. If you happen to miss one, you've got another round that you got to do, and that tends to be a little bit slower than getting the heart squid, so that's why I try to get a perfect game, but it doesn't always work out that way. Most runners will attest. Something usually will happen.
Fortunately, though, missing one shot does at least enable you to skip the animation collecting the heart squid, so it's not as detrimental, but it is a little bit of a time loss by second.
Minorly slower. All right, so this useless object now has a use. Go figure. I guess it's no longer useless.
It's amazing how things work.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny. Okay, so let's talk gravity. Shantae is a slow faller, not as a newt. Not sure why, but as a newt form, she falls faster. So any long drops that we can get, we try to do it as newt, just for that reason. You'll to see, I think, a lot of that throughout this particular part as we're getting ready to go through Mossy Biome.
Yeah, plus with Newt, it does shrink the hitbox down of Shantae. And I mean, just if there's a couple of little tight maneuvers, then it just to be able to get around them while spawning as well, which can be useful in a couple of spots.
Yeah,
but it is mostly that speed ball, as mentioned. So I just have to get a handle on things as we make our way back across. This will allow us to make our way towards our second labyrinth of the run in Coral Mines, and that's where one of the first biggest RNG elements is going to come into play. More on that later. I realise I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit.
You're not too far ahead. I mean, that's not even a minute away, really, to be fair. But well, that particular component of it is gosh, too soon. Also, creepy lobster girl needs to stop stalking.
Just trying to make a friend.
Maybe, but she's so scared. Every time we go by, she freaks out. I mean, I get it. I'm not a most handsome looking guy, but come on now.
I have a feeling she might be screaming at me. Just
yeah, fair. All right, welcome to Coral Mine. I love this track. I guess notably, I'll kind of chat the music here a little bit. So this is also the first Shantae game that Jake Kaufman had nothing to do with the audio on. He was a little busy with other projects, I believe, with Yacht Club. So they ended up basically hiring 5 different composers to do the music of this game. And this particular track is done by the gentleman who also did the one for Mummy Demastered, which is very it's kind of like techno, but I like it more atmospheric, and it just actually speaks to me on that front. So it's one of my favorite tracks in this one. I really loved exploring this dungeon to this track because it made so much sense. But yeah, it's kind of weird to not have a Jake Kaufman, appearance in this, but that's the way life was.
I don't know. Nice little bit of manipulation there. That's something you can only do in beginner mode because they go down in one hit. Pretty much if you start behind them, they have to take the animation turning around before they can choose to either spew rocks or roll into a ball, which in other categories is pretty much an RNG reliance thing. In most rooms, except for that one, you can get away with pulling that lever and fireballing them to death. So again, another little small advantage you get for beginner mode running, keep things progressing forward. He's on.
Yeah, so far so good, at least navigation-wise. But this is, again, as Turkey mentioned, we're about to have some major RNG components here. After the risky fight, we need actual... I don't think I've actually picked up a card yet, Turkey. I think we're still cardless in general. So, I mean, we're going to get that, delay animation because of the fact that it'll be the first one. But I'm hoping that we will get one we want here soon.
If that first one is that card in particular, I'm sure you will be fine with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. So she did not whip her hair when I came into the room, which was weird. I do like these key puzzles. They're actually kind of cool. First time around, it took me a minute.
Get a few of them in here. So we've got Risky Boots too. So Risky Boots will show up again for another fight. Now with Risky Boots, she does progress within each dungeon, where she'll get a bit more health, a bit more, a few more attack strings. At the moment, though, beginner mode, she's still quite easy to take down, so she goes down pretty quick there. As we get second Genie in and second Infusion Stone, the Gastro Drill. This allows us to drill through the dirt, which is noticeably slow, which is why we're now relying on one of the major RNG component cards. These dirt crawler enemies have the opportunity of dropping the Driller card, which effectively increases the speed whilst in dirt sections. Now, this is quite an increase in speed, obviously quite an increase in speed, which enables to help save time, but the next section that comes up after this dungeon is literally covered in dirt, and the difference between having the card there versus not having the card there is upwards of 40 plus seconds. So if we can get the card in this dungeon, that would be ideal when it comes to RNG perspective.
And my little bit of brief practice before this, I did not get the card until like 4th or 5th room of Deep Sea Domain, so I'm worried, and it looks like we're going to get the same at this rate. Got a couple more chances for the card to appear, but I am going to follow my track before, because you've noticed that the digging does go a little bit quicker as long as you're in an established path. So at least being able to backtrack will save you a little bit of time over the normal drilling speed that's currently going on here. But this game is not liking me right now. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, give me the card, please.
Okay. And it is the very first card. So it doesn't usually go this long before you get a card. But
no, this is really weird, RNG wise.
Fortunately, if you get the card in the dungeon, I mean, okay, it was late in this dungeon, but this would be considered pretty good RNG. If you can get it before you exit this dungeon, that's most certainly an ideal position. But the RNG's not quite done yet. First real boss to have a real effect in terms of time when it comes to RNG being Coral Siren. So four dirt pits that are here. So she can do one of 3 different things, and we at least know she can only do one of each, guaranteed, as the max point. Now, ideally, we wanted just to go and grab that switch. And we get the worst possible start, unfortunately, bombs away. Yeah. So it is simply a waiting game at this point. We've got bombs away, she can do a charge to the screen, or she can pull the lever. So looks like she's going to go for the lever now, so we can end the fight here. Oh, worst hit as well. Wow.
Jesus Christ. Whatever.
So not the most ideal in RNG.
The only thing she didn't do to me beyond that was actually charge across the room, too. Otherwise, that was the absolute worst thing that could have occurred.
So yeah, unfortunately, there was a dash attack that she can do as well. So within one cycle, we can finish her off in one cycle being beginner mode. It's at least scripted that's at most, if she does a bomb attack and does a dash attack, you know she's going to go for that lever straight after that. So at least she can't keep you there forever.
Thankfully.
Alright, so next up is where the dirt card is going to pull out most of its time save. As mentioned, upwards in and around 40 seconds as the arena is literally covered in dirt. So we needed the drill card to access, I can't remember what the area is actually called now, but it's a little cycle we have to do with Deep Sea Domain, thank you. But yeah, it's a section we need to get through. We need to find 6 pieces of medallion, if I'm not... is it medallion? No, it's not, shell.
Mermaid shells.
Wow, yeah. I can't remember.
And you're thinking, wait a minute, mermaids don't have shells. And I'm like, when's the last time you looked at an actual mermaid? They actually do. You know, this guy apparently, though, he wants to collect them for reasons. We're not going to dive into that too much, but...
Well, apparently my secret has been exposed. I've never played this game in my life.
Never once before, no. Time on the leaderboard is fake, I guess. I don't know. Alright.
So yeah, the guy that we passed up right back at the top when we first entered Mossy Biome, he's the one who's after them. And he's willing to give us another fusion stone if we can fulfill his request.
He found something, but he won't give...
Good. Go on.
Good new drop. That's all I was making for. No, he just basically, yeah, he's willing to make a trade. If we can find him 5 mermaid shells, he will give us something that he found while he was exploring down there. Fortunately, this time, I don't have to worry about going after these guys, so we'll just be doing some really fast digging.
So yeah, this is why we want the drill card first and foremost. There are a number of different other spots throughout this run where dirt is a thing, but this is the biggest major, which is why you want to see it in the second dungeon. Plus, it's going to be interesting to watch the movement coming back, because if you can keep in this trail, you'll be going super fast.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to maintain the path at that point.
I'll do the best I can, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, fortunately, the mermaid shells are always going to be in the same places every time, so it's just got to get there, follow the pathway, pick them up. And they're pretty much good. So, as I was going to mention, there are pretty much every chapter has some form of quest involved within the run. So there is quite a structure with the run and how each chapter goes about it. You know, if you get your upgrade, you do yourself a nice little side quest, bring it back, get the next genie ability, move on to the next area, and gain access to said dungeon. Get your items. There you go. Nice line.
I missed that one. But yeah, this is kind of the return of Shantae to the Metroidvania style map. Like, it's a big interconnected world kind of situation. Obviously, you get to do different paths and stuff like that as you get other abilities throughout the run. So I was really happy to see this, because I kind of never been a big fan of the hub world kind of situation that, you know, Pirates Curse did, which was light, but like Half Genie Hero was more of a stage-to-stage platformer to me than a Metroidvania. So I was really happy to at least see this format return to the game series.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. It can open up possibilities in terms of routing as well. I think we've got a pretty good pathway as it stands.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of like rooms for interpretation in regards to like direction. I think there's like a huge time difference between the two, and obviously Out of Bounds has different ways of looking at it than, you know, Inbounds, which I don't run Out of Bounds personally. When we first started this run back in 1.0, it was kind of fun because you would use, you know, a number of transformations in certain situations to be able to clip Out of Bounds. You know, as they patched it out, obviously we had to find other creative ways, and I think the current method that's, you know, mainly leveraged is what we call Z-axis jumping or Z jumping, where you basically just jump in place, but you do a turn midair. And what it does is, depending on which way you turn, you're either pushing Shantae deeper into the Z-axis, like into the background, or you're pulling her forward into the foreground. And as you do that, elements start to despawn off the screen. So monsters, walls, doors, those kind of things. And then you're able to just go wherever you want, but you have to be very careful in spots, because obviously if you miss your mark, you don't put her back in a spot where you can land on floor, you're going to fall off the bottom of the map, and it's a big soft lock. So it's this very scary category, and I give props to anyone who does that. I think like Narrowcath is our current like kind of Out of Bounds guy. He's kind of revolutionized it a little bit, and he's even looking at newer strats for it that look akin to like risky shuffling, which that would be kind of cool. I might think about Out of Bounds if it runs like risky shuffling.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We'll see how that develops. It's something that a lot of people kind of ran away from after the patch, and I'm glad to see that someone's working on it still, because the game unfortunately did get kind of a rough start, and due to that, it's missed out on some real development opportunities.
As you know, Minori, there's a reason why for the no Out of Bounds coming in this next dungeon. So,
Yeah.
oh boy, it's a favorite.
All right,
So what we've got from Vera for the second fusion dance is the Refresh Dance. So Refresh Dance is a healing tool, effectively. You will heal 2 hearts on yourself if you choose to use it in that fashion. But it can also bring alive certain things, whether they be sleeping, stone, or
dead.
even undead.
Undead, yeah.
So it can affect different enemies or different aspects of the world in different ways, depending on what it is and what's going to happen. But instead, we can't have a Shantae game without the Squid Baron.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we just passed what the Apple Arcade Part 1 did. That subride was the marker where the game basically stopped at that point. So, yep, now we get to meet good old Squid Baron. Wouldn't be a Shantae game without him. And man, does he go over the top in this game. This is my favorite iteration of Squid Baron by far.
Agreed.
Try not to spoil too much for those who would like to play this game, but you'll love the parts when you get to him.
Yeah, all we'll say for now is for what we got to do, he's sending us on a quest of his own. We need to find the 3 Dagron balls. Dagron being a boss enemy from Pirates Curse, funnily enough.
Yep.
Once we do that, he will let us pass, and we can progress on into the 3rd lab of this game, Sea-Bent. Until then, we're refreshing these statues, bring the enemies alive. That's where we can get our Dagron balls from. 3 dotted around the map.
Oh. Always pick the wrong way here. I don't know why. Excuse me? Okay. Keep eating my jumps. That's fine.
Yeah, so hopefully Wetman cooperate.
I don't know. They've been kind of jerks lately for me in general.
Yeah, well, they can be. I mean, they have a habit of blocking a lot of the time. But yeah, this guy is. Oh wow.
Yeah, that was not what you wanted
Yeah.
to see.
An unfortunate part of that enemy, they have the potential to block them. The best we found is that if you alternate your whips on up and down, it tends to feel like it could give you better odds of breaking through quicker, but that's kind of more like an internal theory than actual fact. All right.
Everyone's favorite dungeon, Sea-Vent. Let's go. So our third dungeon here is lava themed. It's also a very awesome song. So do enjoy this banger of a song when we go through here. This is also where we're going to pick up Turkey's personal favorite. I've definitely grown with it too in regards to mode of conveyance.
I mean, this dungeon naturally, without using any breakages or glitches, is actually one of the first main instances of where you can actually break certain sequences within the dungeon itself. I think it might be one of the only dungeons where it can realistically be done without using any form of glitches. So with this room, what you're supposed to do is, once you get your key, you're supposed to go up and around, you get caught in a locked room and whatnot. But instead, we'll just hit the switch and we'll just go back on ourselves.
Yeah, any other mode, you would just take a death. You would eat those spikes on purpose in any other mode because it would just take you back to the beginning of the room. Can't do that in this mode though, so.
Unfortunately for that, I mean, we may lose a little bit of time for that aspect, but because of that in beginner mode, that actually enables us a nice cut in this dungeon a little bit later on.
Yeah. Right, manipulate.
So, fight, manipulate him across, get them both there. And then we can use an instance of refresh dance with these enemies. It'll turn them from evil enemies to happy, smiley enemies, throwing some gems. They didn't get a chance to throw them, but they do throw gems.
Yeah, they're happy you gave them, healthy bodies, and they pay you accordingly. One gem at a time. Got these little color switching blocks, which are a cool mechanic. Overdone.
Alright, so this will move us back to the beginning of the dungeon for now, but we will just progress forward. Now we have the keys we need. We can actually push forward into the central part of this map, which will lead us in towards the risky fights, number 3. So as mentioned, risky boots does progress in attack strings and damage and health pools. Obviously, because it's being beginner mode, it goes down pretty quickly in general. So this dungeon she'll be able to add real few arsenals, so stuff like the risky dashing, which very damaging. I believe she can do it in Dungeon 2 as well, but it's very rare.
Yeah, her getting harder hitting and like having more health and increasing like what attacks she does. It's in definitive mode or legacy mode, definitely a run killer. I would say, especially when you get to Boiler. I think Boiler is the first real scary moment of risky fights, and that's when you've got to respect her quite a bit.
Yeah.
This can be if you don't pay attention, obviously. This one here is, in any of the other modes, absolutely kind of a scary fight if you're not paying attention. So I think this is where she introduces the charge attack.
I believe this is where it's more prominent. I think you can do it in the second dungeon, but it's not. It's very, very rare. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And usually this will be the first time where you see it actually be a thing.
Yeah. All right, so we get Zapple freed. She gives us the Bonker Tortoise, Turkey's favorite coin. This one is kind of like the elephant, but way faster.
And yet this transformation is pretty much one of the main reasons why I prefer to run the no out of bounds variant. And this is the advantage we get with beginner mode. Spikes don't destroy us instantly, so we can just literally cut out the entire bottom end of the map and just go straight to this dungeon's boss. I thought the best way I could describe it is it's kind of like with the pirate boots. It's a speed mechanic aspect. Where the pirate boots is like having a hyper child. Imagine giving that child a lot of sugar. Then you get Bonker Tortoise.
And that'll be our main movement wherever we can, for sure.
But a lot more chaotic.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to control, but once you get it down, or at least you get a feel for it, it becomes really fun. And then it's just, how well do you optimize your movement with it? Turkey is way better at it than I am, but I'm going to try to do my best.
Right, so boss number 3, or Siren number 3, Tube Worm Siren. Not much we could do in terms of speed to at least start this fight off. So it is pretty much a game of whack-a-mole. Pretty much an RNG aspect as to which hole is going to appear from. There's also a bit of RNG as to how many of them can pop out. There's usually at least one point in the fight where there will be multiples of them that pop out. You hopefully want to see a bunch of them if it happens, because the more you can hit within that phase, the quicker it ends up going. It looks like the Tube Worm is being a little bit troll there, taking quite some time to get there, but that is unfortunate. So phase 2, start to the ground now. As long as you get the time right, the moment she goes into the ground, you'll have a nice conquer stomp, you'll get knocked out, and then just 8 strikes later, and she's dead.
Yeah, not the I would say this is the most forgettable boss in no matter what mode you do it in. It's nothing special.
That's fair. If this was a legacy mode or definitive, again, this is pretty much the main point in when the bosses really ramp up in terms of that. So this is where usually you'd have at least 2 of each hair upgrade just to be able to keep up with her.
Yeah, try to keep it at least at a 2 cycle at that point, you know?
And here goes the bunker.
Ah. Yeah, I'm not controlling my bunker. I'm not controlling my bunker too well. We'll get there.
That's right. Well, we'll give it time, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, bunker works a little bit different to some of the other transformation, because we mentioned like Pirate's Curse is more of a, it's triggered with a button. The ability of Bunker Tortoise is working with a charge. This does give us a couple of little advantages, because we can actually do buffer. We can use a couple of buffer techniques. So, like if we pick up a coin, if we've got the Bunker Tortoise already charged by that point, you can release the attack, and then the first frame that pickup animation is done, Bunker Tortoise will just fire off. So there's a few little bits we can do there just to niggle away at the time.
You can't launch it while you're not on the ground though, and I kind of got caught there by that.
Yeah, it's very easy to do when you're trying to get the tightest of movements. Nice bit of movement there overall. So this area has one of my favourite music tracks as well, for me at least.
You won't hear it very long now, but we'll get there. That's the wrong warp pad, dummy.
Yeah, it's Arena Town.
Yeah, I've got to go. I've got to go. I got to go up. I was ahead of the route a little bit. That comes a little bit later.
So we could do a nice little time save and just skip a few chapters.
Yeah, I wish it could. It'd be nice.
Would be nice.
All right, though. Happens.
Yeah, this is one of the longer any percent. Well, beginner, but this game has one of the longer any percent runs in the series. It's quite a fair bit to keep in mind as we go for the route, and remembering which warp pad you need to hit at which points can easily get mixed up. I've done it too many times to count myself. So. But we are making our way to our next town, Armor Town. If you'd like to take that one.
Yeah, Armor Town is it's a fun one. Obviously, this is where Zapple is from. We freed her. She came here, and everyone here. The theme that's going on here is basically everyone is armor. They wear armor. The mayor of this particular town supplies everyone with that. He believes that a best offense is a good defense, and he definitely lives up to it by supplying everyone some armor. And in fact, after we get our nice little fusion coin here, or fusion thing done, and we get the spark dance. Quite a shocking dance, I promise. We'll get to meet said mayor. He might look familiar. He is actually the brother of Ammo Baron, our Ammo Baron, for anyone familiar with that. So he's kind of like the opposite. And in fact, again, he believes in defense versus offense being a thing. But he's going to offer to make us some armor as well. And Sky obviously falls immediately head over heels in love with this guy. So she's going to hang out there for a bit. That said, obviously we've got to do some work. He's like, if I'm going to make you guys some armor, I need some more. But here's a code book. I think the mayor of Arena Town needs this. And everyone's favorite part of the run. Oh, that's some good toast.
Oh, toast.
Yep. No, but toast.
Can't go wrong with a bit of toast.
Nope. So good. Mayor even just like, oh, and then of course we're gonna see what Bolo has to do with that. I mean, he seems to like the toast quite a bit as well, so we're gonna go give it to him because he probably needs it more than we do.
Uncle boost that.
Yeah, a little buffer jump so that the second that you launch it, Shantae just jumps by default. Nice. Doesn't always work for me, but I do the best I can with it.
Right, so that gets us the nuts and bolts. When he was making his way first to Retown, and also earlier on, you made ground. So this is what we're going to be doing next. We're going to be able to get the ore chunks that the Armor Baron would like to have in order to help increase and create this special limited edition type of armor. One of them happens to be broken, which is why we need to do that side. Well, why we did that side quest first and get that set in position ready, so we can fix the third windmill to get all 3 pieces of ore. Zapple's ability, Electrocution, is enabled to activate anything that needs electricity to function, whether it be doors or windmills in this case. It also can be used as a offensive attack, as more like a screen offensive attack. So in certain scenarios, it does about, I believe it does about 15 damage, which compared to the 100 base damage in Big Minimo doesn't sound like much, but with grouped enemies, it tends to be quite nice for trying to do some room clearance a little bit later on.
You notice I'm leaving the screen there after I launch these. It actually saves a very, very slow animation of these windmills blowing away these piles of sand, which exposes the ore. So yeah, leaving the screen obviously and coming back in way faster than waiting for the ore to expose. All right, so we got our 3 pieces of ore.
Let's go see the armor baron then.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sure we could trust him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's supposedly the better brother to Ammo Baron. So can't have anything go wrong here, right?
Surely not.
Surely not.
I mean, I know I didn't trust him when I first saw him because, you know, he's related to Ammo Baron.
And he's a mayor. It was new. Yeah, we've been betrayed. Let's put it this way. We were betrayed. Yes, we were actually turned into action figures, and, well, Squid Baron bought us.
Looking to increase his collection of Funko Pops, possibly?
At least you're down. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to mess with these 3.
So using Sear Dance to our advantage there just to expose the these enemies. Takes two hits in general. 1 hit to stun, 1 hit to finish. They can be very finicky and will always be a bit all over the place when it comes to trying to take them down.
Yeah, as demonstrated.
That's us up on this next little side quest for the dolls. The old ghost lady that we ran into a bit earlier on, where we got the fusion stone to get Zapple's dance. She's actually after her scary doll, but not too sure where it is. So now we've got 1 doll. We can hopefully do a few trades to find our way forward to where this next doll is.
Yeah, I didn't know that toughies and armor actually relied on dolls so much, but we're about to see just how much they do. So this Jewel Stain doll goes to her. She gives us, ooh, the Branson doll. We have
to trade it.
Yeah.
Can we keep it?
Yeah, unfortunately, nope, I gotta give it away to this kid who gives us a manly doll. He is so manly. Look at that guy.
I guess it don't belong to me.
Finally.
The scary doll.
One scary doll.
So fortunately for us, Armor Town is basically the town central for people who love to do collections. So the whole entire trade quest is literally right there. So that saves us a little bit of wandering around.
Talk to her. Thank you. Goodness.
Right, so that gets us our access to our next labyrinth, Den of Evil. Den of Evil, I'm thinking of Postgres now. Into the boiler we go. So the boiler becomes one of the more technical dungeons to do. Mainly being the first dungeon where you can truly use Bonker to your advantage. But it's not as clear-cut in a lot of the rooms as in just press and jump and releasing it at the wrong time. There's a bit of manipulation required in order to pull back and then pull back forward upon your Bonker to jump in motion to be able to reduce and increase your speed quickly enough to be able to make certain jumps. And that's pretty much got it throughout this entire dungeon. Right, there you go. We also have a few lockout rooms we're going to have to do as well.
Well, she just refused to newt dash for some reason there. It was interesting.
Damn. In this dungeon also, in any other category, is probably another reason it ramps up is there's a number of enemies here that just a lot of the floating spectre ghosts will do at least 1 heart of damage.
That was fortunate. That's going to throw me off now, but Skullfire Spider. Skullfire Spider. Sorry, way forward in our codes. So that skeleton soldier card I just got reduces the amount of time it takes to charge Bunker Tortoise. So now it's almost instantaneous to launch now. So it is a little bit of a time save, but if you're not prepared for it, it's going to throw you off a little bit too, because you might Bunker Tortoise when you're not expecting to. But I'm going to take advantage of it since we hardly got any cards this run.
I believe it reduces Bunker Tortoise by about half a second a time.
Yeah,
So
it feels more instantaneous, but yeah, it's quick.
It does add up.
Yeah.
So risky fall.
Let's go.
She likes to hurt you.
Tries.
I mean, that seems like pretty quick, but she's quick obviously for the extra power. You know, it's like 8 to 10 strikes, so she has close to 1,000 points of health.
Yeah. When you're only doing
so
5 or maybe even 8, if you've got max shampoo at this point, it takes a while to cut through.
So down we go. We get our next transformation.
Do it again.
Frog dance or the frog coin. Basically, it's the driller but for water.
Only that goes faster than Driller without a card. There is a card though in the game you can get that will make this go way faster. I'm hoping. The game has been very stingy with me lately. I'd like to get that just for the fun, but we'll see. That's RNG. I can't really do much more about that.
This is where you need a you need a Hellcliff RNG blessing for this.
Yeah, no kidding. Normally, if you were to touch these guys in normal play, these guys would make you explode. You'd start the room over again. So we're just taking advantage of the fact that, you know, this mode doesn't do that to you. And we're just going to circumvent our way around a lot of things that normally would just do that because we can.
Making that jump look easy. That particular jump to be able to cut through there is actually quite a bit harder than he made that look. So nicely done.
Yeah.
Refresh that water so we don't have to worry about poison.
Yeah, it would take forever to swim through here using auto potions, so it's just better to use the animation of that dance to cut through this just to be quicker. Don't hold down the charge button yet.
So now with the frog we can actually go further down into the dungeon. There'll be a couple of lock-up rooms from this point on that will be locked via these coin grabs. So pretty much Shantae becomes Pac-Man for a moment, but without the ghosts.
Thankfully without the ghost. I'd hate to imagine what this would be like with them.
What about Clyde?
What about Clyde? Oh my gosh.
Clyde?
Oh my goodness. Nori, please. Oh, okay. Jeez.
Unfortunately, when it comes to gem routing in any given category of this game, these rooms kind of help. Fortunately, with beginner mode, gems are not as much important, but because of stuff like this, it makes sense to at least drop in the shop to pick up a couple of hair upgrades, just to be able to both save a bit of time, as well as reduce certain RNG elements.
Spider claw. There's spider claw.
So now we've got to move back to maybe off the beginning of the dungeon. The code you just got there is for a room that's pretty much like right at the start of the dungeon. So he's got to keep that combination in mind as he progresses all the way back, so he can get the final key, so he can get to this dungeon's boss, who out of any boss will be the biggest influence of RNG from the time in a boss fight in this game.
Turn around, Shantae, please. That's actually not a bad code. It's really not a bad code.
Nice.
Everything was really close to get to, so that was nice.
Wow, that was some good movement. Again, as I mentioned with the manipulation in Bunker Tortoise, it looks simple, but it's really not when you actually start to do it. Getting those few rooms consecutively like that is actually quite challenging. So, very good movement on the part for Bunker Tortoise.
Normally I'd just dive right through this, but I'm going to take the opportunity to heal too.
Why not? Why not? Right, so Den of Evil boss. He's saying Den of Evil. Boss number 4 Anglerfish Siren. So kind of like with Coral Siren, this boss has three different attacks it can do within what we call the first cycle. Being beginner mode, we can take them down in one cycle. We wanted to just instantly spawn onto the field so we could just go straight for the attack. But this fight, depends on what RNG she gives, can cost us a runner a lot of time. So it's coming straight in, so we're going with the Hadouken to start off. So could be 4 corners, water. It's bath time. This is the one attack you probably don't want to see because you've got to do a coin fetch quest. Fortunately, it's the easier one. There's actually 3 different coin patterns or money patterns that could happen. Luckily, we got the picked one of them. And she's going full cycle, so we're going with 4 corners. You've got to hit the eyeball, the correct eyeball, and it's always the first eyeball that spawns. So as soon as you see an eyeball spawn, that's the one you're going for. And then, just go ahead and get the hell out of it. Unfortunately, bad RNG there, but there's nothing we can do on that. It's entirely up to the game as to what pattern she's going to give.
Super unfortunate. Definitely not what you want to see happen at all, but whatever. We'll move on.
Well, the bonus counteract is at least you got the early card, which will help negate most of that time, or in certain ways. But right. So we've got a few little what we've got to do around here now to actually gain our next magical fusion.
We only have one more half genie to free.
Do we have to?
I mean, I would love to skip it. Find a way to skip it. I'm all about it.
Can I just randomly call time here?
I mean, no.
Doesn't work that way.
I'm afraid not. Nice try, though.
Can't blame me.
We could do it when we fight last Risky Boots. How about that? It'd be perfect time. That's the end of the run. We're not gonna. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And so first, we got to say hello to another ghost. Except this one's infinitely cuter.
Yeah, definitely so.
Hey, hello to the ghost dog.
Woof woof. Gives us the dog collar right away, because what a nice doggo.
Mm-hmm. So we'll take this back to the ghost lady. She's going to help us realise that there's something a little more to this collar.
I think we could get away with it, Strizer, right? I mean, I'm the moderator of this board. I'm sure I could convince the series mod to allow that. Kidding. So, we're gonna get our last fusion stone provided by the ghost. This ghost is very helpful in that, like, gives us a lot of them in the course of the run. But we gotta go find Harmony, who's the other half genie that we're looking for right now. She's off into the mines. I did not.
Onto the mines. Obviously now we've got a few more animal transformations going on us, mainly from when you get Bonker Tortoise. We see a lot of Bonker Tortoise from that point on, but from here on out we can tend to see a good combination of Bonkers into Newt, and into Drill, into Frog. Although to be fair, those are more just situational ones, but the combination of maneuvering between Newt and Bonker Tortoise for both speed and general movement, as well, climbing and all that jazz. Sort of flow. It's nice when it snaps and flows in the way that it does. Whereas the more traditional Shantae games, where usually you have to do some form of dancing in order to do these transformations. These being nice and snappy just keeps the flow going smooth. Yeah, nice, another piece of music here in the mine.
And this is just Bonker Tortoise as much as you possibly can.
The advantage of getting Super Pike early. It's not often in a beginner mode run where you'd actually have Super Pike anywhere near at this point. Usually you'd get it actually after this section into the next shop. But having the advantage of having that Super Pike when you've got to go through these certain dirt sections, you can just keep a straighter line and just knock them out. With a single Pike, it's much harder to keep any kind of consistency of it.
Yeah, for sure. I usually don't. If I've got a regular Pike ball, I don't even try to bother that. I'll try to navigate around them if I can.
Fair.
All right, so our last dance, Earthquake. Shantae becomes a Valkyrie and just smashes everything to pieces, allowing us to open up new pathways, break multiple things at once on the screen, etc. Pretty powerful, and I botched that horribly. Holy cow.
So Quake is basically another technique as I mentioned. It is stronger than electrocution, but it takes a couple more. It takes about 2 more seconds to actually fully trigger. So if you ever consider using it for offense, you just have to determine whether or not power versus speed is better for you in this scenario. So we have 1 piece of bracelet. We need to come back and Quake here to get the second piece of the bracelet. Now we need to find someone who may know what we can do with these.
Yeah, I got an idea.
So, the dog.
Yeah, the dog.
Makes sense.
I mean, everyone likes doggos. We'll just go visit the dog and pet the doggo again. It's fine.
That's a Shantae game after all. It's always the weird one, Shantae. Off we go. Yeah, watching with those stone golems, if you know, you may notice that before I did 999 damage to that stone golem. There's just certain enemies where the Quake would just outright just
obliterate.
Kill.
Yeah. I think it's only the stone golems, and I don't remember if it actually does. Maybe you have to have the card for the stone face things.
Possible.
Can't remember.
Right, so here would normally be where you'd actually pick up Super Pike, as he's already got it there. We'll use whatever gem expenses he has to pick up a couple of hair upgrades. The remaining 2 bosses, obviously they take a bit more of a beat in comparison. So having the extra speed and the extra damage enables us to keep them down, especially with the next boss fighters. Losing a cycle in that fight can add quite a bit of time. So we get them in preparations, and soon basically the added time we take to go into the shop and purchase these versus the time we go to save on the remaining fights is actually maybe not a big wide margin, but it's still a plus in our advantage.
Oh, also,
wait, was that the ghost lady?
Yeah,
oh,
that was the ghost lady.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's the ghost of the actual guardian genie of this island. She died a long time ago. But she is still watching over the Squid Pit, which is effectively this island's version of a monster jail. But we need access to it because we believe that our final half genie hero friend is in that dungeon. So enjoy the hot jams. We're gonna do a little bit of frog time and a little bit of navigation here to see if we can do more with these bracelets.
So Ghost Buggy puts the bracelets together to create this rod. Unfortunately, the rod is used to be able to power access to this switch as mentioned or the month ago. So we need to find someone who may know a thing or two about powering this thing up. Otherwise, it's just there. But we've had one useless object in the run. We can have a step and just can't do anything about it. I mean, let's say a scientist with us. I mean, he might be able to help you.
Yeah, there's been a few of them floating around the island.
Ooh, wow. That's a very hard bit of navigation to catch there. You have to bonk towards it at the precise moment and dash new to be able to even land on that ledge. Usually you'd end up falling short. So, again, nice precision.
I've gotten it down recently in practice, so figure why not. All right.
Works.
The rod is powered up.
Right, so now we can get into the Squid Pit.
Not quite. Still one thing to do.
Yeah.
Because the power is cut off to that area. You're wondering, this is an island. Why is it all mechanical? What's going on down here? Reasons. Sorry, I love doing that to that poor Tinkerbat.
just doing his own little things.
Never sees it coming. Just done.
So yeah, it means we've got to first actually find the power cell in order to open up said dungeon.
You might
Fortunately, now we have the
recognize
frog, we can get it.
this is where we were doing the mermaid shell quest. That was like the very bottom one there that we just went. So interconnected world, we just came in from the bottom basically. Please don't glitch.
There we go.
Okay. I love that it teleports me here. It makes it so much easier to deal with. Instead of backtracking it. Now we're going to meet everyone here. They've all kind of come to investigate things. Shantae's not the best with computers, so I think now I know why Turkey likes the series so much. He's in the pod and all that. Sky and Bo are going to help us out, but this place is on a timer, and again, beginner mode being what it is, this is easy by comparison. In the definitive and legacy modes, the timer's a little more tight for this, but they gave like an additional, what, 3 minutes, I think, in this mode?
Something like that. I think Legacy's something like 8 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly. So, into the script quickly goes, we do the monster mash. I don't know why I'll say that, but there we go. So, this is pretty much like, if anyone's familiar with Risky's Revenge, this is like the challenge tower in that game. In this circumstance, there's 8 different rooms, all lockout rooms, and all have the exact same enemy sequence moving to their respective rooms. So, this all comes down to memorization and then just personal preference on how you do certain offensive techniques, whether you use electrocution, slate, or just use the pipe ball in conjunction with bunker sorter, things of that nature. So you need to get through each room, get the next key to access the next room, and then use electrocution to actually power up that part of the cell. And you don't have to do these rooms in the order that you're going to see any order you want, but we tend to just do it in this way, just means quicker overall, just to do it in progressive order, and then we can just stop down at the very end. So for now, we just pretty much just keep the living backsides out these enemies. Bunker tortoise for speed and effect against enemies where we can just one-shoot them. These little blobs, doesn't matter what kind of damage you do, it's all about the speed that you can take them down in. Which is why having the additional hair upgrade, as well as something like the pipe ball, eliminates certain RNG patterns of their jumping, which certainly becomes useful. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Noy, but
no, this is basically exactly what Turkey said. I would say if you guys want to plug anything around the marathon, any upcoming incentives that you'd like to get met, now is an excellent time, because this is going to be second verse, same as the first, for another 6 rooms.
Nice weapon.
Yeah. So far, so good. They're cooperating at least. What? I jumped over him.
Oh yeah, now we have the red variants. The red variants are supposed to be a bit tougher, where they take a bit more damage. Of course, we still one-shoot shot them in general for being beginner mode, but they are a bit more aggressive. When they take less blocks before they start to do dash charges. Fortunately, not a major field of difference in beginner mode, but still a bit of a difference there.
Oh, no, you don't. She's done that to me the last few times, and it's really ticking me off.
Yeah, it's not often she goes for a blocking pattern, but it can happen again, unfortunately.
Yeah. Get my jump.
Oh, don't do it, Whitman. Don't do it.
Yeah, the reason I even have super pipe balls mainly for these blobs, believe it or not.
Same reason I go for them as well. As mentioned, they are based off of total hits rather than damage output. So the more hits we can get in there, the better. Plus, they like to jump around, they like to hop around quite a bit, and that can be a bit of an awkward hassle.
Not mean to fall there. Oh, there's the Covenant early day card.
Oh, but if that was a legacy run, you'd have been laughing.
I would be laughing. I still laugh. I mean, that card wasn't worth it to begin with, but it was still always a great find. I never understood why people wanted it so bad. I didn't think it was the greatest thing. So that card that the Escort Man drops increases the damage of the Earthquake Dance, but it's not the end all be all. It does do. Oh my goodness. Okay, yep, they're being the real jerks now. Oh my goodness. Okay,
Wow.
boys. If I had a card equipped from, oh my goodness, these guys are being absolutely terrible. Hello? Okay.
What?
One.
I mean, I've never seen them be that cruel.
Dude.
Wow.
Oh god. That should have just opened the door. Come on, game. I'm not that lucky,
but they don't usually block that crazy, but that's a good example of if they want to troll you, they will troll you. Yeah, just as a mention in terms of those cards, that Stormman card gave you the increasing damage of Quake, as he mentioned. The Batgirl enemy, so the ones that scream very loudly upon death, they usually give you a card that increases the damage of electrocution.
Yep.
The original debate with it in Legacy Mode runs was simply in relation to those weapon mode enemies. Because unlike beginner mode, normally it takes about 4 strikes in order to take each of them down. And that can take quite a bit of time, especially if they keep blocking. So it's debated whether or not getting the Quake card and using Quake once to take them all out would be beneficial, or if getting the electrocution card, which you'd have to still use twice on the red variant, but you can use once on the blue variant to take down. Debate on the whole speed of aspect of both of them, so that's pretty much where that whole little bit of hit comes from with those cards.
I remember spreadsheets of math having been done, like pages and pages of math being done. Calculate out like which one is faster.
Yeah, I believe in the end it was more worth it to go for back cards simply because there was more than there's a few more opportunities for them. They were mostly in lockout rooms that you had to do anyway, so you didn't have to go out your way. Plus, it was only the red variants where you need to trigger it twice, which will cost, I believe, it costs like 1 second more versus just using Quake once.
Yeah.
But for the blue variants, they one-shotted them with the cards, so it just made more sense in that regard.
All right, final encounter with Risky Boots. This one is deadly. This one is super deadly. She includes in this like what are you gonna call it? Like some rig of sorts that allows her to ride along the ceiling. But her damage is so increased.
That was introduced in Half Genie Hero.
Yeah. All right, so our last Half Genie wasn't a Half Genie at all. It was our zombie friend, Roddy Tops, pretending to be a Half Genie Hero because she thought we were going to leave her behind. Darn right I would have.
I forgot to call time.
Oh, dang it. Well, I guess we're going to have to continue.
You might as well now. You might as well.
Yeah. All right.
So, we get our final
that means we get to show off what we thought was going to be the worst RNG point of the entire speed run.
Ooh, yeah, this is before we found something else particular. So, you want to take this one, or do you want me to take it whilst you focus?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Octosiren, originally the idea was there's 6 little brains around the Octosiren. You need to hit it in a particular pattern in order to take it down. Now, originally we thought this was literally guesswork, but as it turned out, Seer Dance actually reveals the combination. So by using Seer Dance, it will flash them in a certain order. We can use that to know exactly where to go. And then it's just a case of memorization, which trying to remember 6 of them on the fly can be tricky at times.
Yeah, I've already forgotten the last 2 because I screwed up the first round. Yeah, this was a bad pattern anyway. That That was a really
Yeah,
bad
so
pattern.
that will expose the main brain. With the added speed and damage, just ends that fight just that little bit quicker. And jobs are good. And
Even in like definitive mode with like the air upgrades that we route in, it's what, 3 rounds to still kill that? Like, it takes a long time. That's with full scimitar.
I believe it's all 3 silky upgrades and 2. Well, it's 3 and 2 basically.
Yeah.
Depends on which way you want to go with them. It would be about, I believe, optimally, if you get everything precise, you can take them down in 2 rounds. One slight hiccup would force you into a 3rd round.
Yeah. All right, so all the heck is breaking loose here now that we've done that. The ship, well, I won't say the ship, it's whatever's going on down here is sealing doors, and there's claxons going on and things are rumbling, and I don't really know what's going on at the moment. Dang it, man, I am just not lucky, am I? No crazy frog again. Go too far, am I?
You know I'm never going to go for that card again now you just called it up.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. You've never heard me say that, have you?
No.
Oops.
Anytime I go for that, all I'm going to hear now is ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, that's what I think of, because it's just, that's frog mode on
Yeah,
crack.
So yeah, unfortunately the card he's actually aiming for is a low. It's quite a low percent chance from these Siren Men card, from the Siren Men. That's the card that gives you increased speed as frog. Unfortunately, they only first appear at this point in the run, so it's impossible to get this card earlier on.
Other than if you do full deck mode.
Of course. Full deck being effectively you just start the game with every card and you just go crazy at that point.
That's a menuing speed run is what that is, like swapping out the cards for what the situation calls for. All right, so we find Risky Boots finally explaining why she came here. The reason she was digging around is because she's mad at us for having obviously destroyed her ship in Risky's Revenge and wants a replacement. So she has been here looking for a ship. In the meantime, they've got some things going on the island, and I've got to be very careful coming up here because I have a crash point potentially to happen. I'm going to try to avoid that. I think I know what drives it, so as long as I avoid doing the thing, we're fine. I'm just gonna like break out of these a little early. This game for some reason will crash if I bonker tortoise into those panels. I'm gonna try not to do that.
Oh, that's the cool.
It's the only time it's happened to me, and every time I've done it, it's been exactly that. And I don't know if it's because if I try to press a button, but if I do, then the game locks effectively and then just closes. It's not a good thing.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's the catalyst. I don't know why, but that's what I've determined is the catalyst. Oh, no, wrong way.
Oh. Well, now we're going back. Now we're going back 2 chapters.
Yeah, right.
Go forward some, go back some. So pretty much this is just the calm before the storm, as we tend to refer it to. The 4 towers on the island you need to destroy to. I can't remember the name. It knocks the ship out or something like that.
It's powering it up. They're solar collectors. They're giant solar panels, and they're collecting sun's energy to power up what's being launched down below. Basically, what they're doing. Each one of these gets progressively more powerful. They actually do have attacks. You won't see them in this run, but they can be a pain in any other category.
Yeah, imagine Hardcore mode's Bigger Mermaid and Half Genie Hero multiplied by 3.
Yeah.
Maybe by 2, but
yeah,
that's basically what you're getting
HP
into.
sponging is real here. This is where you well, you start to feel it with Risky Boots. I think come like Sea Vent, but like the end game bosses are painful on that front.
Very true. Right, so to the left side for another 2 towers.
Yep.
Then the calm will be done. We'll be ready for the storm.
Very, very long dungeon. That was close. All right, one more tower to go. Can't go off the screen at the top there. It's really annoying. Wish you could. You got a hard wall there that you just can't get around.
Yep. Never understood why, but... And again, trying to question the Shantae game about programming.
Don't get us started.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I know nothing. So.
Alright, so we think we've stopped this course, right? I think we have. All the towers are down. They're all broken. They're not going to be able to collect any more power, so whatever's going on can't possibly start up, right? Right?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, if not, you got the power. I mean, there's a siren there.
Yeah.
I mean,
nope. Looks like there's a problem.
Oh no! All right.
Yep, no.
So sorry.
Notice in the background is now a giant pit. There is bad things have happened. A ship just basically pulled right out of Arena Town. There's a huge fortress now flying in the air. I'm gonna do a quick little Easter egg. Watch Roddy Tops there on the right. Little callback to her healthy side from Pirate's Curse. Cute little touch.
How have I run this game for some time now, and I've never known that?
How did you not? I thought we told you about that.
Apparently not.
Oh well, hey, you learned. Today you learned.
So what we've established here, you picked the wrong commentator to join him. Alright, so the Flying Fortress, the final dungeon of the game. Easily one of the longer dungeons to get through, and this is pretty much a test of metal and a test of everything you've accomplished through the run and abilities in junction.
Turkey, please don't watch my bonker tortoising. Thank you. Oh my god, you can't jump, you can't do anything.
It's not easy to control bonker tortoise in the best of situations.
Yeah, fair. Damn it. Can't control Shantae period right now. She's just doing what she wants.
It'll be fine. Nice. And again, take advantage of fights not absolutely destroying us. We can just hit them forward and keep the momentum of bonker for a little bit longer. We do have a couple more lockout rooms here, and there are the occasional Siren Man, so there is still opportunity to potentially get the frog card.
But I'm not lucky.
Siren Man card to be able to enable the faster speed this frog. Only about three, I believe it's 3 water pits that are left in this area, but unlike with the driller card speeding up the drill, the frog card dramatically speeds up the frog. And it could literally, even with those free routes, can save you a good chunk of time. Double drop mayhem.
You proud of me, Turkey? I learned how to do that.
Yeah, nice. Good man.
Took me forever.
It's a nice one.
Card.
Man. Unlucky as it is one of the rarer cards to actually get something.
I mean, I think we got like one more opportunity for it to drop, but by then it's almost too late.
Yeah, so there's the first water pit out of the way, so unfortunately no advantage for that one. So yeah, as you can probably establish for this area, it is just literally down to the movement and knowledge. In order to be able to get through some of these. There was actually something that I forgot to mention earlier, which slightly altered how we approach one or two rooms. It's literally just down to the fact that when you hit an enemy with bonker tortoise, originally you used to be knocked backwards as a result of that. So you usually had to time a new dash through certain enemies, so we kept things going forward. But since the update, they kind of switched it so she bonks the other way. So instead of having to new dash, we did actually bonk to the enemies and then move forward from there, actually making it more advantageous getting through certain other rooms in a more optimal pace at the very least. On to the next lockout. Couple of red weapons, and you can see there this has got more aggressive, so didn't have much of an opportunity there. There's a couple of Siren men there. Plenty of burgers.
God.
The golden crown. So. I mean, there hasn't been much to really speak about the food items in general because with beginner mode usually go water potions, but in a general aspect, depending on the potency of the food itself, it can heal you more, but certain food will also replenish magic in a certain quantity and amount, so look, if you usually want to see the golden crest for that perspective, just to get the high refills on both ends.
Okay.
Just have a ceiling bug charge.
I always do this. Why do I jump here?
I always do it as well, don't worry.
I think it's a save room guy. I honestly, every time I think it's a save room coming up. So that's why I'm just buffering a jump. And it's like, nope, that's not what you wanted to do, sir. Oh, well, moving on.
There's a partial delay there, otherwise you'd end up base tanking that attack, and that does half of his health on 3 hearts, so never try and avoid certain damage if you can, otherwise adding menu time.
Okay, the wetmen in this later part of the run have been absolutely terrible. I did it again. I know better than to jump.
Unfortunately,
this
RNG
is the run I wanted to do, but I missed it.
So we got the crusher room here.
Yeah, I'm not quite as good as you to get the one cycle here.
I can't. I rarely get it myself.
Oh god, it's a hard one cycle.
Yeah, it is possible with the right movement to be able to one cycle that particular room, but it's usually the start that's a bit on the trigger side. Once you get the first part, the rest kind of falls together for the most part. So we are approaching the end portion of this dungeon. Oh
god, I did not mean to even go that far. There we go.
Sometimes pipe ball can be a troll.
Yeah, I didn't mean to trigger that either. I kind of fat thumbed it when I was going for the Bonker Tortoise launch. Well, I don't need it anymore. Oh, we are menu glitched. I hear it clicking. I think we're at the end of the run.
So able to do a little bit of a save there. You'd have to normally do a little bit of a loop down, open up the blocks again to be able to use the remaining turret. But you just bonk off of that one wall and just go through the spikes and you're all good. As we now reach the final boss of the run. The first phase is going to be relatively straightforward. The second phase is where it gets frustrating at times.
Yeah.
So I'll let Nori focus and I'll go as best I can.
Feel free to talk. This is beginner mode. This is nothing. Feel free.
Fair enough. So Emperor Siren phase 1, pretty much what you want to see from his first is just stay on the ground. You can get more DPS that way. And after you can take it down in 2 rounds. Unfortunately, she's gone ceiling, floor, and then side, so it has to settle for a 3-rounder. So again, normally if this was a legacy mode run, then an optimal fight there would be somewhere in like the 1 minute 20 range. So there's a big difference having these additional benefits for the beginner mode to be able to put through. So the final part in Emperor Siren, she's going to just become a very big, massive thing here. So there's several points on her body that will light up with crystals from her shoulder pads, thigh guard, everything along that line. It's complete RNG as to which order they are going to be. There are 6 points of which it is, getting late first, which is usually considered the lowest, the worst start you can add. Just because we have the other part of the RNG involved, which is these rocks. So usually early on, the rocks in the lower formation do not usually spawn very often, which is why leg is not one you want to see to start with. But other than that, the order of how the rocks spawn, how fast they move, is complete random. You just got to work with them as best as you can.
Yep.
They also have a weird thing about them where if you don't make sure you've landed on them properly, if you don't give yourself a little extra time to land properly, they will probably register as not landing. So if you use up all your additional jumps from the Octosquid, then you kind of just have to accept it. It's a bit frustrating at times, but.
All right, final part
so
here.
So that's 3 points left. Crown, earrings, and then on the tiara. Time will be on the final hit of the tiara, of the centerpiece on her head. And,
wow, I couldn't get on it. We're gonna get a few extra bonus DLC attacks here.
So there'll be 2. It should be 2 strikes on beginner mode to this center. On that second hit will be time.
Yep. If she stopped
Don't wait for the old
lasering.
laser to him. Yep. And time. Unfortunate. Again, apology. Not that your friends that much throughout that.
I was fine. The rock RNG wasn't that bad. I didn't mind it, other than a long wait to get down to her leg. It was fine otherwise, but yeah, it's that run. Well, between the Flying Fortress and that one, any other mode, that's like where the runs mainly die. There's that one room before you get to the Empress Siren, and the save guy is like probably the deadliest room I've seen in any Shantae run, period. And it's I've seen so many runs lost there. So I mean, overall, this one, again, easy mode, beginner mode, just kind of like a good way of getting a feel for the run, I feel. I think it's a great entry point for anyone who would like to think about this run. But definitely check out the other ones too, because they all have their own benefits and things like that for sure.
That was an awesome run to watch and an awesome showing. Always gotta love Shantae. Before you do depart, though, I will say that we just got a whopping $500 US donation from Space Narc saying, "Thank you, GOC, for all you do. This is for a worthy cause. Also, GG to Nori, and all the best to you and your family."
Yeah, thank you. I've unfortunately, my sister is in the ICU right now, so I'm gonna immediately get off of here and start making some additional phone calls. I had one come in while I was doing this run, so it was notification was too late for me to back out. So I'm hoping that she's going to be okay. And it's really scary times for that. Narc, thank you so much, not only for supporting the cause that Game Over Cancer is doing for within. I know it's close and near dear to you being Canadian, but you also support my stream a lot, which goes to a variety of charities as well. So if you like supporting charity, all donations, I don't really have donations. I direct it directly to whatever the causes I'm supporting, but all of my sub revenue goes to charity as well. So really, really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys for having me. And Turkey, thank you so much for helping with commentary, especially when my mind's not all in it right now.
Anytime, sir.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you do like the Shantae series, I highly recommend this one. I think it's a great game. And if you'd like to speed run it, we have a way forward speed running Discord that is extremely helpful. So.
Well, thank you very, very much again for making time to take part in the run, and go take care of your real life stuff. And all of us in GOC on the crew here, our thoughts are with you. And on that note, we will get prepared for an intermission and our very next run. So don't go anywhere, folks.